Hey everybody, welcome back. This episode we are going to introduce Mongoose, which is our ODM for interacting with MongoDB. ODM is Object Document Mapper. We'll talk a little bit about what that is and why we chose Mongoose, what we're using it for. Okay, so Mongoose, it's going to have two purposes for us. The first purpose is that it helps us create models. If you recall from our Introduction to Databases lesson, those objects we were creating that were the blueprints of what our data should look like, we referred to those as models, schema, blueprints, all pretty similar words here. And we're going to use Mongoose to create those. So Mongoose really enforces that data consistency that we need in our database. Secondly, when we create those blueprints, we export them. So in our routes, we can use them to actually go and interact with those data in our database. So let's say we make a bunch of to-dos, making a to-do model, or using a to-do model. We can then export that model and import it into our routes to then say, hey, to-dos, go find everything that matches this blueprint. So two purposes here. Mongoose is going to help us with both. Additionally, for this lesson, what we're going to use Mongoose for is connecting to MongoDB. So Mongoose has a connect method that allows us to connect to our local MongoDB server. Okay, so this is going to be using the same exercise we've been using, learning servers and routes. Has our movies and our TV shows, but everything is still fake data. All of our routes are still hard-coded, not interacting with the database. So the first thing we need to do is connect to MongoDB. So let's npm install Mongoose. So let's do this here. The command that we need is npm install Mongoose. And this is a per project installation. So I'm inside my project here. I'll say npm install Mongoose, making sure I'm on the back end. All right, Mongoose is installed. I can now require it. So const mongoose equals require mongoose. And now I'm ready to go. I can start using Mongoose in my server file to connect to my local database. But before we do that, let's go look at the documentation. So Mongoose, it's an elegant MongoDB object modeling for Node.js. Right here is pretty much all you need. You could follow these commands, require it, connect to it, create a model, and have at it. But we're going to show you a better way for larger applications, how to really set up strong models and reference them in your routes. Right now we're going to focus on this command, the connect. Let's connect to our local MongoDB. But the Mongoose documentation is great. You can always come in here and take a look. Definitely get to know it as you get better at backend. All right, so where to connect the database? Well, I'm going to have us connect right up here above the routes. So I'm going to say connect to database. All right. So Mongoose has a .connect function that does just that. It connects to our local database. So we'll say mongoose.connect. But we're not connecting through HTTP. The protocol we are connecting through is the MongoDB protocol. So we're going to say connect through MongoDB : on localhost, because MongoDB is running on your local server on a localhost port number. What port number is that? Well, it is :27017. That is the default port number for MongoDB local. All right. After we say localhost : the port number, we say /, and whatever we put after this /, this is very important, is the name of this database. So whatever you want the database to be called for this project, this is where you name it. So this is a movies and TV shows, so I'll say movies DB. And that is the name of the database. It's good to stick to lowercase and dashes when doing this, just like folder conventions. All right, so we've given it the URL it needs to connect locally. This now needs a second argument. So I'm going to say comma, I'm going to hit enter, I'm going to tab and create an object here, like so. And I'm going to put a comma there for the time being. So this object, it's the second argument of the connect function, right? Here's where the connect ends. This is a configuration object. And the reason why we need this is MongoDB has been updated, or Mongoose has been updated over the years, and there are deprecation errors you will get, or warnings you'll get in your console if we don't have certain configurations. Now I do have a link here that talks about that, deprecation warnings, and these are the 4 properties they say you can use set to these properties here to make those issues go away. So they're not necessarily something that's going to break your server, your database, but it does get rid of big errors like this from showing up in your console every time you're using your database. So let's set these all up now. The first one we need is use new URL parser, and we'll set that to true. And these don't have to be in any order, but these 4 are the ones we need. Next, we'll say use unified topology, set that to true. Next, we'll say use create index, we'll set that to true. And then lastly, we'll say use find and modify, and we'll set that to false. And let me get rid of that so you can see it here, and pause if you need to write these down. Okay, so this is what we'll need for every server. It's nice to just keep this in here. This one is fairly new within, when I recorded this is about in the last 2 or 3 months. So more may be coming out, but you can always come to the mongoose.js.com/docs/deprecations.html and see what they're suggesting. All right. So that's the second argument. The last argument we need is just like our app.listen. We're going to give it a callback function to let us know it's connected. So a little anonymous function here, and console.log, a message saying connected to the database, or DB for short. And that is all we should need to connect to the database. We'll do this on every application, naming our database here, connecting to our local MongoDB. Provided the installation went fine in the previous video, we should be able to see this happen now. So all we got to do to confirm this is start up our server, and if we see this message connected to the DB, we are good. So I'll say notamon server.js, and there we go. The server is running on port 9000, and we are connected to the database. So that's it. We're at the point now that we can go inside of our movie router after creating a model for our movies and start really interacting with MongoDB instead of just interacting with this fake data. So once you've got this connect working, you've started your server and you get this successful message here. Join me in the next episode where we'll start learning about Mongoose schemas. All right, see you there.